Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode. I know Sophie's very, very excited to be talking about this film this time.
More hate myself for picking it, to be fair. I don't know why the heck I picked it.
Well, the reason for that is we have two special guests with us this week. Please welcome the B-Plot.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you on, guys. So, if you just want to quickly just introduce yourselves individually and what your podcast is about and anything else you want to talk about, just to the guys listening.
My name's Lincoln, one half of B-Plot Podcast. Basically, what we do is, along with another guy who will introduce himself as we're forthwith, we pick one movie, two movies actually, one a big blockbuster and then kind of one a flop that came out on the exact same day. And then we discuss it, don't we, Sam?
Yeah, I'm Sam Golin, also a comic out here in London, and I'm the other half of that B-Pop podcast, and it's mostly just us trying to get revenge on each other for one of us forcing the other one to watch shitty films the other one hates. It's great.
Yeah. And so we kind of just discussed amongst ourselves like what film we all thought we wanted to put Sophie through, I guess, really, the thing that she didn't want to see. And you guys picked Oldboy. I was like, yes, I'd love to get into talking about this one. But I wasn't sure what Sophie was going to make of it, and we'll kind of get into that as the thing. So obviously, guys, everybody listening, big spoilers in this one. If you're into sort of like very dark, gritty drama, then by all means go check it out and listen and go and watch the film and then come back to this one if you want to hear our thoughts about it, but highly recommend that you do that before we go hear what we have to say about this, because they're obviously very big spoilers.
I really do think with this one that I am going to be like the person who is going to be missing completely the plot of this film, and I'm like a little bit bemused by everything that's happened, what's gone on. I couldn't sleep last night after watching this. I was like, oh my god, this is literally sick and twisted. Like, who comes up with these kind of thoughts for the film? And I feel like you guys might actually help me, because Paul had it last night where it was like, what? I just don't know what I've just seen. And I don't think I can ever unsee that.
No.
Sadly.
So, what are you guys' relationship with the film? Have you seen it before? Is it your first time viewing, or have you seen it a couple of times? Or
I have a very, very strong personal relationship with this film. I first saw it when I was 15, so it'd been out. I think it'd been out for a couple of years, and then it came to the West. But if you guys obviously remember, I mean, it's still about Film 4. This film used to play at 2:00 in the morning on Film 4 at least once a fortnight. And the first time I saw it, I was like, I've never seen anything like this. It kind of rejuvenated my love of watching movies. This is probably the 20th time I rewatch this movie once every couple years. I love it.
Really? I don't think I can say the same. I don't think I want to watch this one again, if I'm completely honest.
I think you'll be very upset when you find out that it's actually the middle film in a trilogy of similarly themed vengeance films that get even more twisted as it goes on.
Quick question, Sam. Do those ones, have they got any tie-ins with them? Because I know I've got like the box set with the trilogy, but I mean, I don't know if they're a separate thing on their own or they interlink or anything.
They are thematically connected, so there's no continuity, but they're all completely separate stories. And the actor who plays Odezu is in Lady Vengeance in a totally different role.
Is it more like a kind of like a Hot Fuzz Shaun of the Dead at World's End kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Right, yeah.
if the theme was stronger than ice cream and blood, if it was revenge, the actual revenge.
What about you, Lincoln? Have you seen this before?
Yeah, man, I saw this. This is the first time I've seen it in a long time. I watched a couple of friends of mine back when we were at university. We used to have a Sunday night movie night. We used to get together just to kind of connect. And this is one of the ones that we picked. And it was good enough that I was like, I don't have to see this for another 10 years. It was that good where I was like, this is so good and overwhelming that I'm confident in knowing this is good. I watched the American one, which is actually not very good as well. Didn't quite work. But yeah, that's my relationship to it. Saw it once about 8 years ago or whatever. Thought it was brilliant. Never bothered to watch it again.
I don't know if that's really selling it there or not. My reasons, I think I felt quite intrigued as I went along within the movie. I really did quite enjoy it at the beginning. I really wanted to know why he was stuck in that room for 15 years. What had he done wrong? That was kind of like my process. Obviously, he's done something wrong and somebody hates him. So why else would you stick somebody in a room for 15 years? But it was after that, when he came out, that it just got so dark for me. And I was like, and a little bit sick and twisted at the end. Like, the whole revenge story.
Reasoning behind it.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know I was going to be going down this path. Because I've never seen it before, and I didn't really know. You never give me a heads up either.
Well, I'm not going to, because it's very, the crux of the whole thing is based around that plot twist, really, as to why this is all happening. And I mean, obviously, I saw it the first time was, I think it was last year maybe, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, like that was the first time I saw it, and like, I thought down the line at some point, I wanted to test the waters for myself, as don't think me and Sophie watching it for the first time would be a great idea. So I think I'll suss it out first and then see. This was planned at some point probably to have watched, but yeah, I think this is as good a time as any to be talking about it, and with the other people as well to kind of discuss and the thoughts and feelings about it.
Persuade me of why this is a good film. Yeah. That's what I really would like to kind of get out of this, is for somebody to really give me a good value of, in 10 years' time, why should I go back to this? Or should I just put it in a box and never watch it again? Because that's how I feel.
A purple box.
A purple box, yeah. Just don't open it.
So hang on here, Sophie. You still need to be convinced that this is a good film. You think this is a bad joint, a bad way to spend 2 hours?
I think the first hour, I'm quite enjoying it. I'm quite intrigued, and then it just opens up this can of worms where obviously there's a bit of incest going on with a sister and a brother, and I'm like, okay, this is where it's like getting a little bit dark for me now. I'm like, okay, I know these things happen, and then obviously you've got your main lead spying through the window, and then he's ended up telling everybody. I didn't even know, you had to tell me today that the sister wasn't pregnant. I really thought she was pregnant, and that's why.
No, it's all just Chinese whispers, really.
Phantom pregnancy. It was very interesting. I love the description of a bit of incest. I think on the incest ranking, this film is primo quality, top shelf
raw,
incest.
Uncut incest, straight flown in from the mountains of Bolivia, raw, uncut.
It's so like I was so uncomfortable, and I think, to be fair, I'm glad you watched this, Paul, without me the first time, because I think you would have. My mood would most certainly have rubbed off on you in this film. I was like, also the teeth thing, I could not.
Yeah, I mean, even the first time I was watching it, I couldn't. I'm very squeamish with that sort of thing, like pulling teeth to that degree, and that sort of physical violence with that to that level. I'm like, no, it's not for me.
It was the noise of the cracking of the teeth that did me in. It was the crunch.
I have to jump in here with a little history, because I, much like both of you, I'm very squeamish about teeth with a personal reason. I used to be quite severely addicted to crack cocaine. It took its toll on my teeth. I've had all the worst dental procedures, right? Every time teeth pulling comes up in a movie, I'm like, oh, I've had a 6-hour root canal. I've had loads of teeth pulled. I don't need to see this. But with Oldboy is the one where I go, this is where I really feel like I can enjoy the violence in this movie because it's so justified. Every single bit of violence in this movie, when he's like, yeah, I'm gonna pull this dude's fucking teeth out. I'm like, yeah, get him, get his teeth.
Yeah, but see, Sam, you know what's interesting? Again, Sam and I, unsurprisingly, not sitting under the same tree here. I feel like watching this again, what this really underlined to me is like the futility of revenge. Is how, and I remember I was watching The Revenant the other day as well, and I got the same feeling of just like, man, it's this weird situation where in locking this guy up for 15 years, dude, that means you now for 15 years have to like look after a dude. And you have to like feed him and then, like, you have to, like hypnotize him and make sure he's okay. And then you have to look after that. After his daughter, eventually you have to do stuff like this. And at the end, he just kills himself because like I don't have anything to do now.
This is what I think is so beautiful about this movie is that every single character comes ready packed with like a want and a need that are so opposed. So you have Oldboy at the beginning of his film. All he wants to do is get back to his daughter. That's all he wants to do is to celebrate her birthday, give her these angel wings, right? That was, and obviously by the end of the film, he's ended up sleeping with his own daughter, can never go back, completely ruined both of their lives. The guy who, Lee, I can't remember the rest of his name, who's taking revenge, is the richest fucking guy in South Korea, but all he wants is his sister back for nefarious purposes. But it's like, there is nothing, and all of these characters, everything has been so stripped away from everything that they really want has been so stripped away from them that they can't see their own resources. And I think it's something that only East Asia really puts out into film on a regular basis, is a series of completely unavoidable situations because of character conflict like that. I think it's just fucking great.
I think you're right, man. Bringing up exactly the fact that he's good looking, the fact that he's rich, and the fact that Odessa, the other side, is just a gross-looking human being. He's disgusting. Awful. Split ends, everything. It's disgusting. The guy looks like a flexed elbow. He looks disgusting. And the other guy's this gorgeous person, and it's like this weird, and I remember reading about it as well. There's almost like a Greek thing about it as well, where you have the god in the tower, just toying with this mere mortal of this guy, just moving his life around for nothing. I found it, and you're right. Korean cinema in general is absolutely amazing, and there's reasons for that, like the way that they set up their industry, historically speaking. But this is a real high watermark for me in terms of Korean cinema.
So, for example, I was really glad. Is it Woo Jin? Is he the really horrible man that blocks?
Lee Woo Jin, yeah.
I was so happy when he actually died. That was like the main part of when I enjoyed this film. I was like, he just needs to die. Like, I don't care how. I would have rather...
I'd rather Odesu have done the deed rather than kind of like, I feel so guilty now. Kind of like, there's no getting back from the past. So, I've pursued this very long, plan of articulating this revenge plot, and now it's done, like you said, and it's like, well, now what do I do? And it's just like, well, I guess I'll just kill myself, kind of thing, because there's just so much unbearable guilt for the fact of that happening. It's a bit like bittersweet in that sense. As
no, he deserved to die. To put somebody through 15 years of what he did.
Oh no, he deserved to die, definitely.
And the fact that then he hypnotised his daughter, and then let him sleep with his daughter. It wasn't an act of choice. I think that was the bit that got me. It's like, okay, you wanted to do incest with your sister. That's fine. Now you've forced that on somebody else. out of their own will. And I was like, whoa, this is sick. This is just not right.
I said,
Can we rewind to that's
fine. That's fine is the crucial part. Guys, incest, really popping. When we started our podcast, it was about 50% us discussing incest.
Yeah, that's true.
So much, you know what? Can I tell you what's weird though? Is like I watched this with my partner. She's never seen it before, and I was like, I'm blind. I'm not going to tell you anything, so that you can go in, clear eyes, full arts, can't lose. And we watched this, and like maybe 5 minutes before the reveal comes, it's like, oh, it's incest, innit? He slept with his daughter, and I was like, man, how far we have come in 8 years. Well, that's just something that we are just like, yeah, that happened. That's not even a twist anymore. It's like, yeah, it's somewhat of a twist, but like you can guess that. That's like the part that blew my mind. That you can guess. Oh no, it's incest, dude. No one guessed incest 20 years ago. That was an impossible guess. Never.
Well, it's like when Sophie you made a comment, didn't you? It's like something like partway through. It's like, oh, he's too old for her.
Yeah.
And I kind of went,
And,
and I couldn't say anymore. I was thinking, please don't.
I did mention as well, where's his daughter in all of this? That's all he wants to get back to is his daughter.
I was kind of hoping that you weren't going to pick up in like Fight Club and like 5-10 minutes into the film going, oh, it's all in his head, isn't it? He's the person. So I was kind of like, please don't spoil the whole fact of
you were really good with that, wasn't you, with the Fight Club one? Because I was like, oh, yeah, I can already see what's going to happen. But to be fair, you'd put Shutter Islands on not so long ago. I think I was a bit in tuned at that point, whereas we've had a bit of a breather from intense
yeah, I guess.
films.
Psychological stuff, yeah.
And this one, I think it only dawned to me when he was flipping through that obviously there was a purple box and it had the photo album.
And that's when the penny drops.
That's when, and I think that's when normally everybody's penny would drop with that one.
And there's a glimpse of her wearing the angel wings as well, and it's like, oh no. Yeah.
But the film, I think, again, countless fucking times I've seen this, it's so brazen about telling you that it's his daughter at the beginning, but at the same time giving you believable red herrings, because the first thing they do when they meet is they both think each other look familiar, and they make a real point of that. Oh, you look familiar, and then, oh no, I've been in a room for 15 years watching TV, and you were like the youngest chef, so that's why. And then every time we get close to that daughter thread, every time they drop a hint, they go, oh, but your daughter's been adopted by a couple in Stockholm. So we go off on that. And I think, again, it's just that it's the difference between a whodunit and a whydunit. Because really, there is any point of this film that you can figure it out and it still really works.
I think
it's just... Yeah. You need to know why, yeah.
I think Sam is 100% correct. And I think it's interesting that you bring up Shutter Island as well. Because that's a movie that I've seen multiple times. And it doesn't make all the way sense. And I there's parts of it, I like the movie. And I think the reveal makes sense. And everything about it makes sense. But there's parts of Shutter Island where I have to go, okay. You just kind of have to like, okay, that's like a dead spot. Where no sound bounces back to me. Whereas Oldboy, the complete opposite. Watched it back, hadn't seen it in a long time because it was too intense, and everything just makes complete sense. It just fits. It's like such a... And I was thinking of like, dude, this is such a original, creative feat. The variety of techniques that they use, the where they kind of move into where you're like, oh shit, is this like it becomes like a Korean... Mexican magical realism thing, like with
the ants.
I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot that there's this kind of weird mystical, but not actually mystical, kind of subplot, kind of B plot. Shout out to you, Sam. I think we can stop. I think we can stop recording right now. I completely forgot about that. All of this, just in like the score and the cinematography, just tremendous.
And that's the fucking beautiful thing as well. I love the soundtrack, the score for this movie, and that motif just keeps coming in. And then by the time you're like, oh, and that's what they've used to hypnotize you into forgetting that you're trying to bang your own daughter. Genius.
I loved that line then. So just going back to Shutter Island. So for example, for me, if you had to say, I know I scored Shutter Island quite highly, I really, really, really enjoyed that film. And
It's a good
I
film,
had different aspects. So I really feel that he was still an inspector, and I have a different outlook where you're saying he was, and you've said it's been proven, and obviously the storyline is
Well, not specifically proven,
more
but yeah.
leaning towards that he's actually like obviously a
An inmate,
prisoner, and
yeah.
With this one, I can't really understand it, and I think that was the bit that really I struggled with. So I really wanted to feel for somebody, but even Odesan, is it?
Odesu.
Odesu.
Yeah.
I didn't feel sorry for him. In the end, in the Shutter Island, I really felt for the main man, and I really thought, like, either way, he was right in the end about the autopsy.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, either you're a prisoner and you deserve it, but the autopsy was still there, and I could get it. Whereas this was just pure revenge and hate.
You didn't sympathise with him, even the fact that it's like, why is he being put in this situation for
Well, it's a
almost no
lesson,
apparent
isn't
reason?
it, where just keep your mouth shut, don't spread things that you shouldn't say. And then you won't have to cut your own tongue off.
In many ways, you are right.
In many ways, that is correct. All right, but look, at the same time, you see a dude trying to bang his sister. What are you supposed to do? Not
Yeah.
so, like, honestly, like, if I see people, it'll be people that Sam doesn't even know. The moment I see that, I'm be like, Sam, you will not believe what I just saw. This dude was 6-9ing with his own damn sister. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it,
Bro, I'd call Lincoln if I saw it in the street and just suspected. Maybe. I'd be like, I might have just seen some incest.
But
bro.
at the same time, though, Sam, be real. Is this one of the greatest anti-snitching movies of all time? Don't snitch.
This is up there. It's yeah. I think I don't think there is a better example because nothing else goes as hard. That's why.
I like that. About going hard, that sequence where it's in like it's like the panning shot with the tunnel, and he's fighting off all the brutes or the gang members with the hammer, and that's such an amazing piece of cinematography, and obviously one of the most famous scenes probably for the choreograph. The way that was choreographed is just fantastic.
He said it panned, like it didn't even cut, did it?
Yeah, it's pretty much all one take, really. So God knows how many actual takes they may have done to get all that orchestrated. It's fantastic.
You know what's really?
I think they only had one.
Are you
Sorry,
Are you sure?
I seem to remember there being something about because of the amount of time of like rehearsal and setup that it would take, they did it and they just used the first take. I might be clouded memories, but I seem to remember that.
The thing that I really like about that scene, especially that makes it work so well, is it is one take. So like technically it's incredibly proficient, but the actual like choreography, the fighting is super like sloppy and messy. And guys are like, wah, wah.
Yeah, it's not like it's John Wick or anything.
Yeah. I want to go back as well though, just to the villain killing himself, because I disagree and don't read that as a bad. That's for him. That is a happy ending. And I think it's important that it's him who takes his own life and not Odezu, because you know that principle, right? Of like, if you're telling a film or if you're writing a movie or a story, it has to include the worst day in that character's life, right? That's the idea. And I think there's that kind of satisfaction we get for every bit of the last half hour of this movie is, this can't get worse. Oh wait, yes it can. And I think that thing where Odezu is trying to push the button is just like, he just wants that one bit of vindication. But Lee killing himself, he's really only doing it because he died 15 years ago, before, like when he put Odezu in the box. Now he's only doing it to take that away from him as like a further twist of the knife in the revenge.
I think that's a really interesting reading. Yeah, I got stuck at the kind of admin of just because that's how even if I was wronged, I can't even do admin for like my own life, like consistently. But to have to keep someone else alive, only when I know that I'm going to kill myself immediately after revealing it, it's a level that I can't. But I think your reading is more than fair, Sam. I think there's a certain level of satisfaction in that.
I think, to be fair, he probably didn't think he was going to kill himself. I think he thought the satisfaction of what he'd done would make it somewhat better, and
but I guess
the realisation...
At the end of the day, he couldn't get past the fact that what has happened, and he just can't get over that. No matter what he does now, there's no getting like closure.
He just has to kill himself so that he can basically, if there is a heaven, I don't think he'd be going to heaven, to be fair. But, you know, it would be a case of then he can be somewhat reunited, I guess. That's what the logic is. But I just feel like he shouldn't have to, like, that scene where Odeus, I always think, why am I struggling with his name?
That's you make me...
Odezu.
Odezu.
Yeah, got it.
Is cutting his tongue out. So that bit where he's then like, I'll be your dog and I'll rough on the floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he is just literally stooped to literally being his bitch. Like, that literally is it. I'll do anything for you. And it's like, wait a minute, this was meant to be revenge, you know. You were meant to have this fight off where he actually kills him.
Yeah.
But we don't. We end up kind of reverting to literally...
grovelling on the floor begging.
Which just really, really annoyed me. Because it was like...
I get that.
It annoyed you? What would you have preferred?
What I would have had preferred in my ending of my film would be that Odesu would have killed
other guy. Just for simplicity.
So he would have killed the bad guy that's put him in a box for 15 years. He would have had his revenge. I think I'd have been more satisfied on that front. His daughter wouldn't have needed to know what had gone on.
Would he still cut off his tongue, or...?
No, he would have had his tongue.
Right.
And then he's just going and getting more bloody women pregnant with it.
He would have had his tongue, and basically the story would end where I think he would have to not be with his daughter, or the hypnotised would have to come off, basically. And then he would have to kind of either... I don't know what would happen then if he would have to explain it to her. There'd have to be proper closure.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the actual ending, and what do you reckon happened there in terms of with the hypnotism? Do you think it worked for him to forget, or do you what?
Yes and no. It's like yes, he's forgotten on the surface level, so him and his daughter Mido can keep having this obviously horrifically wrong, bizarre sexual relationship. And again, it's why I love this film so much, is that ending is that he is doing that for his daughter. That's how crazy that fucking is. But obviously that smile at the end is the hypnotist says, you know, when the beast, each time it takes a step, it ages a year. When the beast turns 70, it will die. It'll be a quiet, peaceful death. But he is still somewhere in there, always going to be that monster that he's now become.
Yeah. I have to take that one as well. I think there's definitely something that is stuck in there. This beast. This is something that's not disappeared. But yeah, I'm more like kind of interested in just the kind of the treatment of revenge and revenge in movies. Just because, again, I find it very futile, and I find it very like you're destroying yourself in the pursuit of it. And I think a lesser movie... let me ask this, though, and otherwise, Sam. The other revenge movies, are they this kind of level of fucked up? Or are they... does it, like, ramp up? Or how does it go?
It ramps up. So, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, which is the first one, is twisted, but less twisted than this. This is obviously right in the middle. Lady Vengeance, which I might argue is my favourite one, not because of the twistedness, but because it's like Park Chan-wook really finds his polish in, like, there is not a second of fat on that movie. But it's so much. It's probably as if not twice as fucked up as this.
Count me out. You watched that on your own.
Yuck.
It's so good, though. It is so good. Paul, the thing is, if you watch it on your own, you'll be like, oh, holy shit. Like, Sophie, we might have to have another couple comics on to talk about this.
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, no, I am intrigued to see what the other ones are like. But I think, like I say, I'll vet them first, maybe.
100%.
And then if it's any worse, this himself is like, no, maybe leave you out.
I think
but...
I'm okay with it, and I was alright, but I had that uneasy feeling once I'd finished watching it, and I felt really... I didn't know how to feel, and it was like, all of this is wrong, nothing of this is right. You know, like when you watch a film and like it's a romance and it leaves you that nice fluffy feeling. I didn't feel that.
No, of course not.
I felt a bit sick and a little bit uncomfortable, and I was like, can we put something light-hearted on now, please? Because I need something nice to watch, because I can't go to sleep thinking that this happens in the world. Or
can I ask you guys, when did you watch it? What's the scenario? What is your like? We're watching a movie today, what's the time? What's the food? What's the snacks? What are you guys doing? What's the ideal watching scenario?
What time did we put it on? About 7, 8?
No, about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we were done by 10:30. We obviously toilet breaks and stuff. So it was like,
and pausing a lot because I was like, "What the heck is going on?
Yeah,
I've missed."
trying to explain.
I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah, like are the ants real?
Yeah, I actually
no.
thought the ants were real and that it was coming out of his skin at one point.
Oh my god, that's my favorite. I love that. Like, that's like watching movies with my dad, and we're watching something, and like, who's that? I don't know. They haven't told us yet. I don't know any of the characters. No one's told us. So that guy's with that guy. I don't know.
This is literally like watching a film with me.
Let's watch the movie and find out. No one knows anything.
What did I do the other day to you? And I was like, does he die? And I'm like, but Sophie, I've not seen it either. And I'm
I
like,
can't
yeah, but
remember what
Paul,
it was.
You normally know these things. You have to tell me.
Yeah, I can't remember what film it was, but yeah, you were like, I don't know.
We do have intervals as well. Like, I don't know, we think we're
Halfway
watching
through
something
or
on the
something.
show. Like, obviously you don't get intervals in
No,
the theatre.
no.
Well, you do in movies, but not theatre scenes. So it was like we had a little interval, and I had to have chocolate to get me through the next stage, and had a cup of tea to pull me through. I think you went on the alcohol, didn't you?
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, and I think you were thinking, God, I can't cope with Sophie.
Yeah. We're watching this one, aside from the first time, I did feel, maybe it's because I knew how you were maybe going to react, but I did feel a bit more uncomfortable watching it with you, because I'm thinking some of these
was
scenes...
the incest okay when I wasn't in the room? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of like having to justify to somebody like, oh, look, this is really great film, just get past this part.
It's not incest if there's only one person in the room.
Is that what it is?
So that was, yeah. But otherwise, I really enjoyed watching it again, but it was a bit of a different experience watching it with you. Based on your reactions.
The fun out of them. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm a dementor and soul destroy the film of what might be really good. I think the reason why I was interested in watching this one was we first kind of is it South Korean?
Other than like Parasite or something.
That's the only first one I would say I've actually watched.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've not really been to subtitled movies for a while until I met Paul. And the kind of subtitles I really enjoy is normally like an anime.
Mm-hmm. More light-hearted.
Yeah, I can cope with that. But I really enjoyed Parasite.
Mm.
So I think I'd gone into my head thinking it was going to be a little bit like that. And it is got certain strengths of, obviously, the story and the plot is...
sort of maybe the style. Yeah.
Yeah, but never did I think, if somebody said to me, how does this movie end? I would have been able to come up with that. I don't even know whose brain comes up with that.
Well, it's based off a Japanese manga of the same name. I think loosely based. So I don't know as to what the content is in the manga compared to this. Be interesting to know, I guess, how that's visualised on paper, but... Probably
a bit more than the film. But Parasite, interestingly, which was Bong Joon-ho, was mentored by Park Chan-wook at one point, the guy who made this movie. Can I tell you a really fucked up snack story with this movie? Because not this time, because I just finished watching it because I knew I was going to get gassed to talk about it because I love it so much. But when I first watched this movie, that scene where he first goes into the sushi restaurant, he asks for something alive. That scene where he eats the octopus, I don't know if you're familiar, but that's real. That is, he is really eating the live octopus. And at the time, I'm a vegetarian now, but at the time I wasn't. And I was like, that's the only time I've ever paused this movie was I'm like, pause. I went to Tesco's. I had to buy some seafood selection and some linguine and just make a little seafood pasta. That's the only time I've snacked for Oldboy.
A nice snack. It's a nice snack.
Yeah. You got to get the eating in before the incest comes out, because that's the real gross
Oh, no,
shit.
dude, that's when the real eating starts. Yum, 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 yum. I would say that if you are interested in South Korean movies, I would say that this is more or less par for the course. Most Korean movies work really, really well as like straight movies, like a straight noir or a mystery or a horror movie. And then there's just like a little bit of weird thing that happens and you're like, oh, that's some Korean shit. Like it's like a straight down the middle movie that you could like watch on a Friday morning, and it's like, oh, I've eaten people before, and you go, okay, all right, okay, easy does it, everybody. And there's loads of them that I've seen. They really kind of big into that almost kind of like Shakespearean type heightening of stories to just impossible heights to basically justify the impossible things that the characters do to each other.
But that's the other thing about Korean cinema that I feel like I'm so happy that Parasite won Best Picture, because I hope it's like a little bit of a kick up the arse to the West, to be like, when you go I'm going to watch a South Korean movie. What's it about? Revenge. What's it about? Zombies. What's it about? Vampire. It doesn't matter. We're going to do every fucking genre for you. There's going to be some noir. There's going to be some thrilling. There's good jokes in Oldboy throughout the whole movie. The intro scene where there's that other guy on the roof who wants to kill himself, and he's like, no, I need you to hear my story. Tells him the whole story, and the guy's like, now you hear mine. He's like, peace out, I'm done.
I'm done.
This is great.
Well, I think that's quite funny, actually, that you're going back to the beginning opening, because I actually thought we were starting off with somebody literally killing somebody off a building. That's how I interpreted the first scene. So I think I'm quite gullible of how what is on the screen, I believe. I don't really question it too much. And then it was kind of later on, it explains it, doesn't it? And I don't even get how he got out of there. Like, he looked like he came out of a suitcase. Like,
That's the hypnosis, I think that was, wasn't it? More so.
Well, they still put him in the suitcase. They hypnotised him to sleep, put him in the suitcase, and just left him on the roof.
The suitcase looked too small for a man to be in.
He's not a tall man.
It's also perspective. I don't think that was the situation. I think it was like shot from a high angle or something. So it just looked very small. But I can't believe you're making us defend the size of the suitcase. Like, this is the most egregious thing. Just kicked out of this movie immediately. Unrealistic. No. Nope.
Yeah, I was like, has he shrunk? Have they shrunk him? Is it like Alice in Wonderland and he's drunk a potion and now he can go into a tiny suitcase? I'm like, and then I was literally just watching going, is this part real? Or is this not real, Paul? And Paul's like, no, you're getting it way wrong, everything.
But let's also dive a bit more into the beginning, because I want to go back to what you said about when he's, licking his captor's boots and pretending to be his dog. I think what's so good about that is that's how the film begins, is that he's in this police station acting a fool, running his mouth, right? Because he is he's a clown. And we see him, and you almost forget that he's just being a dick in the police station for the next 2 hours. And it's that beautiful thing where he's become a monster almost immediately in the film, but then it just gets worse and worse as it goes on. But when he is confronted with the worst day of his life, he is still that kind of screaming little baby that was right at the beginning. If you watch it again, which I know you won't, but I encourage you, maybe give it 10 years. If you watch it again, you'll see it's like a perfectly symmetrical movie. Like, at the midpoint, every single thing that is set up like rainbow arches over the whole film and parallels its almost exact runtime before, like in the first half to the second half. It's really interesting.
Now you're making me intrigued because I like going back on films
Yeah,
and looking, and I feel like I would be prepared to know what's going to happen. You know, that bit's not going to be the shocking factor of it because you know what's going to happen. And I think sometimes I've said to you before, haven't I? Like, tell me what's going to happen. I don't mind a spoiler at all. I'd rather be prepared so that I can get emotionally prepared for something like this. I think a heads up would have been appreciated.
Just Sophie fast forwarding to the incest bits. Just go.
Yeah.
All right, we get it. Ba 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 ba. We get it. Let's get to the good stuff. Oh man.
Maybe so if we have to get 15 years from now, like Daisu, put in a box and then come back to this in 15 years'
Are
time.
you going to put me in a box until then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, orchestrate some sick, twisted plan, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask, did any of you feel a bit fucked up watching the intro, given the year we've just had?
In what sense?
Do you mean like locked in a room?
Locked in a room for 15 years, but then we're like, I guess a year with Wi-Fi ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, his room that he was in wasn't absolutely terrible, because you made that assumption. You thought when you saw him kind of like crawling for the, like, grabbing that guy's leg in the prison.
In
like a dingy cell, but he's in like a nice-ish room, isn't he?
It looks like he's in a hotel room or something. I was thinking, oh, this isn't actually that bad. Like, what's he crying about? Like...
he can't even jerk off or kill himself. He's like, whiny bastard.
He's getting fed. Like, he doesn't have to worry. It's not like it's starving him.
Yeah.
So,
he's eating dumplings for like pretty much every meal though, which he was kind of sick of.
But then he still goes out and tries to find the dumpling supplier. Like, I'd be like, oh, give me a pizza or something, please. Something different.
Octopus is different. Live octopus is different, definitely.
That scene, I know we actually been to Japan, and what did we have? There were octopus balls.
Takoyaki, which is the fried octopus balls. Yeah.
Delicious, yeah.
Couldn't eat a live octopus, though. Not something that's
Nah, I couldn't even.
moving.
I'd try it.
Yeah.
I'll fucking try anything. Yeah, I agree. I'd try it. I don't know if I could eat it. I'd have a little, save me a piece. You know what I'd do is I'd go to the restaurant, Sam order it.
You have a bit.
I'll do the girlfriend thing. I'll be like, no, let me just slice it off your plate.
Yeah.
So, but why did you order it? You always come and get off my plate. No, but I only wanted a little bit, and you were gonna order it.
You're just getting tentacles. I'm getting the head.
Oh, disgusting. It really is. I don't think I could try it. Obviously, the octopus ball's fine. It's cooked. It's not moving. I think it's the moving element of it being in your mouth and it still moves, like, while you're trying to eat it.
Can I ask, have any of you seen the American version of it?
No, I refuse.
The only way I've seen it is through someone on YouTube covering it. It was called, the channel's called Your Movie Sucks, and he basically does like a big breakdown of it, and it's like, that's all I need to know, because he's doing like a comical take on like how shit it is in comparison to this version. And I'm going like, yeah, I can see that.
It's really, you know what, it is shit, you're right. But it's really interesting in I think Spike Lee remade it, and we've had our problems with Spike Lee on our podcast, so we're not going to let it spill over on here. But it's weird to see what another director, or what like an American director, I guess, would see in Oldboy and say that's the core of this movie. It's weird to like, because like the American version is it's super violent, but you also spend way more time at the beginning with Odesu, played by Josh Brolin, but obviously different name. And so like you have a better idea of who he is before he goes into and then like obviously the violence and the ba 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 ba, that's obviously the same. But a lot of the kind of operatic parts of Oldboy and the kind of the quirky things, like like the ants and the kind of the hypnotism and all the kind of the mystic parts of that's all kind of stripped bare, and you just kind of have this plot, A to B.
Does he, at the end of the American version, and I know I've asked somebody this before and they've told me, but I've forgotten, does he hypnotize himself so that he can continue a romantic relationship with his daughter?
I don't think he does. I can't remember. I remember the end of it being really dumb and in a warehouse and not, or like in a weird and with lots of angular lights.
And that, because to tie it all together, that really is the crux of the movie, right? Is the fact that he is going to do this knowingly to live for his daughter as her partner. That's so fucked up and so twisted. But like you said, revenge is all about self-destruction, right? And he has nothing left. The only reason, and like that whole final line with the hypnotist is like, even though I'm no more than a beast, do I not still have the right to live? Is like, that's the bare minimum. And anything else he does, if he kills himself, if he doesn't hypnotize himself, Mido's going to find out the truth. So it's like he has to sacrifice a long life of internal suffering just to protect his daughter at the end, which is his goal at the beginning as well, is just to protect and be kind to his daughter. So I'm like, that's kind of that's his redemption. It's the worst possible redemption, but it's like his redemption and his penance at the same time. So without that, what I'm saying is like, without that, it's like, oh, well, let's just say Dr. Manhattan did it. Or I don't know, one other stupid twist at the end of a movie that doesn't work.
Yeah, so like in committing himself to a life of incest, it's like his greatest sacrifice.
It's his greatest act of kindness. Yeah. Because, yeah, sacrifice, exactly what you said, but yeah. Yeah, but I don't know about you guys, that's why I watch movies, you know, to be like,
yeah, man,
I'm challenged, yeah.
Yeah, dude, like, just, you ever, like, you like, that's what I've missed most, man. I miss going to the movies and just leaving and talking to people and being like, did you get that? I don't really get that. So what was what was the ending? Oh, I don't really understand that. So the thing with the turtle.
Yeah.
What did that mean?
Yeah.
I think the turtle is himself.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of conversations that like I love having about movies, and I love having it with Sam.
But for the last decade, it's been like, so he was an iron and a man at the same time, and I'm like, there's nothing. So
you're
nothing to hold on to.
Hang on here. So you're telling me there's an iron, all right, and there's a okay. So there's one man,
one iron,
one iron, and you're saying that they're in the same body? Get the fuck out of here!
And it's a warlord. What?
What? So wait, you're telling me there's an iron? This is like, we can go back and forth, and I love that about this movie. This movie is just like making you like sit there and be like, damn. It's like one of those movies where like after I've stopped it, I don't do anything else for like the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I just kind of hang around.
I was still bemused by it. So like, my question to Paul was, at the end, with this whole 70 years, and if...
For the steps, so, yeah, 70... It would be 70 steps, and then he'd forget, because every year he takes a step. That's right, isn't it?
The monster ages a year for every step.
And but when he's 70, he's going to die.
No, the monster is dead.
So he's not going to die. Like, I thought it was like this cruel thing of like, right, okay, literally you're going to only... take 70 steps, and then you're going to age a year, and then you're going to die. But that's what...
No, I said that's what the ambiguity of it is, because obviously it's kind of showing panning of the footsteps in the snow, but then it kind of does like lifts the camera up, so it's like, well, did he actually take 70 steps? So that's where that kind of...
So the beast is still there, is that what you're meaning?
Whether it is or not, that's what we were getting back before, whether that is... With that, the monster went away, basically, or not.
I love how you should try and dumb that down for me there, Paul.
Monster, go bye-bye.
Sam, I was just following up on this. Apparently the corridor scene took...
20 takes. Like 100.
It took 17 takes.
Right.
It was filmed over 3 days.
Yeah. That's the... Like I said, I used to be quite addicted to crack cocaine. That can blur some of the memories and blend in. I might have been thinking of Phantasm.
Yep, that'll do it.
I think with that being said, I think we'll go to the scoring if that's okay.
Can I go last, please?
Yeah, so which of you guys would like to go first?
I've been pretty obvious, so I'm just gonna put it straight up to it's 11, man. This is a perfect fucking movie, top 5 all time. Like if you, and this is the movie that if you love movies, the one quick little story. I showed this to my partner about 4 years ago when we first got together. She'd never seen it. She's a filmmaker. She, like you, Sophie, afterwards was stunned. Was like, we need to watch something else. I was like, why? And she was like, because I'm scared I'll never be able to make anything that good. And I was like, oh yeah, dude. Neither of us are ever attaining that level of greatness. We're what? And perfect. Love it.
Lincoln?
I would. Do you guys do decimals or is it just?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. 0.5s.
To be fair,
yeah.
we don't do 11s
Okay,
either, so just so you're aware. That's way overscored.
For me, this is a solid 9.3. Solid 9.3. It's because for me, it's not quite a 10, but the 0.7 is like personal preference. Like the 0.7 is just the amount of, myselfness. Because to me, like The Godfather is 10 and Oldboy is not quite as good as The Godfather. So this is 0.7 down. You see what I mean? It's because I have other 10s in my head.
I have, yeah.
I know it's incredibly pedantic.
It's your score, no judgment.
I'm so going to go with that next time because I would have thought you were going to say 9.5, like let's round it. Also, the fact that he thinks Godfather's a 10, I have a bit of an issue with Godfather.
All right.
It's a solid 9.3 for me, The Godfather.
It's a solid 9.3.
Yeah. Legit too.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm going to give this one just a straight 9 for me.
You sure not 9.3?
No.
What makes it a 9?
9. It's definitely something like I've never seen anything quite like this before.
And I don't think you want to again.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be like rushing back to. It's not one of the things like, I must see that again, like the next day or anything like that. So, but I can definitely see that it's high art of cinema, and it just blown me away. I think it's kind of just taking a little bit back on the fact that you didn't quite enjoy it as
sorry
to a degree when watching it. So it kind of made me feel a bit uncomfortable in putting that on for you. But still, the sort of like the level of enjoyment from watching it again. And still appreciating everything else that has gone into it, like we've discussed, it's just masterful.
Okay.
So Sophie's.
So, drum roll for my score. Okay, I do love films. Background of me is that I used to just watch rom-coms, that's all I used to love. And it's one of those things where I don't mind being educated in films and I really enjoy it. I don't want to be absolutely fucked over by a film and go, what the actual hell am I watching? And be like, okay, I can't actually go to sleep now and I don't know how I feel. And this is literally, my scoring is impacted on how I felt. It's not really a reflection of the film, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I can't take away how I felt after I've watched it. So for me, it's going to be, I'm so sorry, it's a 6. It's not... Yeah.
That's higher than I was expecting,
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Did you start at like a 4 and then like Sam and I managed to like get you up to a 6?
Believe it or not, we said, didn't we? We had a chat, kind of like, I was like, oh, okay, God, what am I meant to gauge this film at? We've watched Borat, and I gauged that as a 2. I absolutely hated it.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
You watched that this year, though, yeah?
Oh, no, that was in the early stages of the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah. It's just, you have to be, like, first in the door on, like, a social satire prank movie, like, the politics have aged.
Yeah. That's a solid 9.1, by the way.
So, I think I was like, I really enjoyed it, and it was gripping at the beginning of this film. It was just the ending for me that just went downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it will be interesting to eventually at some point. I'm not in a place to even want to consider rewatching it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
like with Shutter Island, I would love to watch that again. And after I'd watched it, I would want to rewatch it just to unpick it. And I really like unpicking films.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I don't know how dark it's going to be when I unpick it.
Pretty dark, but I'd say it's worth it because it is infinitely more pick-apartable than Shutter Island is. Like, Shutter Island, you're like, oh, there's a couple bits, but this you could study it for 10 years and be like, oh yeah, you did another thing I didn't even fucking see, you sneaky bastard.
Yeah, like one of the interesting parts is like, and this is just like on the Wikipedia page, is that like his name is Odysseus, which is supposed to be an interpretation of Oedipus. Just something as simple as that. And I was like, obviously I wouldn't have noticed it. I don't speak Korean, but someone points it out, and you're like,
yeah, the whole Greek tragedy thing that they've got going on there with that, it's very apparent. And there's the whole I kind of like trying to think with the when you see like colours that kind of like pop up constantly, and the colour purple is like a theme with it. I'm kind of like thinking, is there some like deep meaning behind that? Why have they chosen the colour purple? Because that's normally associated with like royalty and stuff, isn't it? Or
exactly.
No, I didn't see that at all. That was more, the purple was like a, like a psychedelic kind of thing.
That can be both, yeah.
And that's how I interpreted the purple as like completely messed up lifestyle. Yeah. And because it had that pattern of like a spiral life going down the pan, basically.
But that's the thing. He is both psychedelically drugging him and literal capitalist royalty. Do you know what I mean? So they both tie in real nice. Can I also recommend you? It's another Park Chan-wook film. It's still fucked up. It's a lot less fucked up than the Oldboy and the Lady Vengeance. But it's a 2009 film called Thirst. Right? Have you seen it? It kind of got swept away in the West because it came out around the same time as Twilight, and it was like, oh, another vampire movie, and it was like, no, this is a vampire movie like you haven't seen one before.
Yeah, that might be a good one to cover at some point. So.
I did used to like Twilight when I was younger as well. I'd got all swept up in that stage. As embarrassing as it may sound. I've never actually watched the final film though of Twilight.
I like that first Twilight movie, by the way. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot better than it deserved to be.
Yeah, I agree.
The first one was pretty silly.
I have seen all of them, by the way. I watched them about 2 or 3 years ago for the first time.
What did you think?
I mean, honestly, very enjoyable garbage. I was like, there's a couple bits in here where I'm like, yeah, it's more about the teen angst of being nervous about having sex than it is about anything else. But that first one does kind of, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. And low-key kind of slaps, yeah. Like there's a part where the fucking vampires play baseball. And you're like, all right, you guys know that this is fucking outrageous, right? But at least you guys know. And I can do that. I can fucking werewolves playing cricket. Here we go. fucking zombies playing rounders. Like let's build this universe.
It's only good dialogue away from being what we do in the shadows, at that point. Like,
I agree. It's actually a really gorgeous looking film. Like with the greys and the washed out. It's really good.
How have we got to this?
I don't know. I just got gassed up. I just got excited for Twilight.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us on this. It's been very insightful talking about this and hearing your thoughts, of course.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Can we plug the pod again?
Oh, absolutely, you can. Yeah, no worries.
So that's B-Plot podcast. Everywhere you find your podcasts. And then on Instagram, you can find me, Lincoln, on the mic. And then you can also find Sam at
Sam J. Golin.
And we'd appreciate a follow, appreciate a listen. Thank you guys for having us on.
Well, welcome.
Thank you so much for being on. Definitely go and check them out. They're brilliant and they always make me laugh. They do give you some insightful knowledge as well. and try and persuade you. They're very persuasive, but I think that's the comedian side in them.
Yeah.
So it does work. But thank you both for your insights today. It's made me possibly want to go and see it again. So you've done something. So you can take that away with you.
Yeah. And of course, you can find our episodes on all the major podcast platforms, which, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter under the handle SP_filmviewers.
And just apologise, we don't normally talk about incest this often.
It's probably the first time, to be honest.
Well, let me tell you something. If you enjoyed what you heard, come on over down to B Plot Podcast. We have a whole section. It's not even like spread out across. It's just a whole clunk, a section.
A real chunk at the front.
Yeah, real at the front. It's very incest heavy. So yeah, come check us out if that's your vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we'll speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.